Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Game 2 in a best of 3 between Gonzo and Włochaty in the semi-finals of the Steel Division League, Code S. Today we are seeing Mont Ormel, and on the Allied side Gonzo is playing with the 2nd Armoured, and on the Axis side Włochaty has his hands on the 2nd Panzer, which is a division we haven't seen in a while. Now, in the previous game, Gonzo did defeat Włochaty, so he is 1-0 up in this best of 3. If he wins this game, then he will move on to the finals. Włochaty will want to stop that from happening, and therefore, if he wins, he'll have to win a second game in order to go to the finals. But let's talk about the divisions, specifically the 2nd Panzer. Yeah, it's a division that I didn't expect to see in the semi-finals or finals of this tournament. It's a very strong division that's almost always banned. And there are very good reasons for that. In Phase A, they can gain access to 1-star Panzer IVs, and they also have access to 1-star Pak 40s, and both of those can be made into 2-star units that are very, very strong. Pak 40s can utilize that 1,200 meter range to snipe units a mile off, especially with the extra veterancy, and the Panzer IV can pretty much take on most early Allied armor one-on-one at the start of the game, and the veterancy only helps. You also have access to Panzerschrecks. The 250-10s that they come in are also 2-star veterancy. If you make them 3 stars, they have insane rate of fire, so very, very strong for taking out light armored vehicles. Things like Humbers are absolute toast in front of a 250-10 with that high veterancy at least. So the 2nd Panzer definitely has a lot going for it. Moving into Phase B, you have the Sturmgrenadiers and the 150 points per minute, so doesn't get much better than that. Now, the only limiting factor about the 2nd Panzer is they don't get many Panthers in Phase B like other armoured divisions on the Axis side. They can only get access to the Panzer Aufklärer D, which costs 300, which is 2 minutes worth of income. So quite expensive if you kind of think about what else you could spend 300 points on. But regardless, very strong division. One weakness is that they don't get a lot of units early on because overall their units do cost more since they all come in half tracks. So you're paying the extra 20 points on top of almost every unit that you buy. And that can mean that you have economy issues in Phase A. But in general, the fact that the units have such high veterancy makes up for that. So that's basically the 2nd Panzer. But the French, we can't count them out either. On the French side of things, you have the abundance of Stuarts, you have the M8 Spies. And those combined can really do a lot of damage to the 2nd Panzer, because the 2nd Panzer has so many half tracks that it's kind of spending points on. And that can easily become a waste of points if you manage to pick them off with the M8s and the Stuarts. So that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping Gonzo tries to take advantage of, like snipes all those half tracks, makes sort of Włochaty's force worth less than he's paying for. But let's have a look at these units briefly. So on the top side here we got a 6-pounder for Gonzo, followed up by some voltages. Further down there's going to be a bazooka and some more voltages. Then into the forest we have a flamethrower squad. With the command, there's going to be some Nueve and some more voltages. M5A1 following up. On the bottom side, it's going to be 6-pounder with some command and also these voltages here as well. For Włochaty, it's going to be the 251 with the Speertroop on the bottom side. It's going to be relying on this half-track to hold the front line forwards, and this is sort of the areas where light vehicles like the M5A1 and the M8 Spy can really just take advantage of this map against the 2nd Panzer. 250-10 with the Panzerschreck there, also the command here, the Panzergrenadier with the 253, 251-1 with the Sturmpioneers coming in. There's actually going to be a 2nd squad of those and a unit of Panzergrenadiers. So already it looks like the flamethrower is engaging the half-track. Distracting that might be useful to allow the Sturmpioneers to get their flamethrowers on target without taking too much damage themselves, and that's exactly what they managed to do. Meanwhile, on the top side, there's going to be a Pak 40 with the command there, with the half-track, and there's a 251 with the Speertroop again. But here comes the M5A1 and the M5 half-track. One thing that Gonzo can take advantage of is that the Panzer Grenadiers and Sturmpioneers do not have AT at the start of the game. Panzer Grenadiers later with the 2nd Panzer do get access to the Panzerfaust, so that's why Włochaty is having to bring a Panzerschreck with him. And, well, if Włochaty continues to be aggressive here with the Sturmpioneers, this Panzerschreck may find its way into the face of the M5A1. Look at that, the Panzergren's getting chunked quite a lot actually by the voltages and the 3-star M5A1 at the moment. This M5 half-track going to be pushing all the way through, finds the salient on the bottom side. Also will likely reveal this half-track on its own, which may prompt Gonzo to buy himself an armoured vehicle that can go and take advantage of that. So Nueve going to try and hold their ground. It's going to be very hard for them to do so in the face of the flamethrowers. You can see the voltages have already been melted. These 2 units of Sturmpioneers gonna force the Nueve back, and since the flamethrowers affect morale so easily, it takes away that combat effectiveness that would otherwise be there for the Nueve. Best way to really deal with the Sturmpioneers, since they've used quite a lot of smoke already, is just kind of fall back and kind of fight them off the edge of this tree line. So the M5 half-track, that's going to be engaging the 253. You've got to be very careful with the engagements here between half-tracks, because when it comes down to a 30 cal versus a like MG34 or MG42, the MG42 or 34 will always win. Whereas if it's a 50 cal, then the 50 cal always wins. Simple as that, really. So the M5A1 nearly gets surrendered alongside the bazooka. The bazooka took out the 250-10, which was pretty important, but this M5A1 has been hanging about. It's managed to pick off a couple of half-tracks. The Panzerschreck has gone down. That half-track's gone down, though. That's going to be the 2-star 50 cal half-track dead. Not quite sure what killed that, honestly. Must have been maybe a grenade from the Panzergrenführer. Or was there something that I didn't see on the bottom side? It might have been the 250-10 from up here. No, it wouldn't have had line of sight. Either way, Panzergrenführer are going to go down. This half-track with the MG42 did manage to take out the M5 half-track. That might have actually taken out the M5A1 half-track as well. But this M5A1 is going to pick up the infantry and move forwards aggressively. 50 cals, if you remember, do take out other half-tracks very well. But the voltages here are going to be trying to use grenades to take advantage of that. And they're going to get the job done. So, Gonzo doing very well with this breakthrough, and has put a lot of pressure on the bottom side of the map. Now this 250-10 and the Panzerschreck combo did manage to clean up the M5 half-track that pushed the salient initially, but with these 2 M5A1s on the way, that half-track is the least of Włochaty's worries. New Nueve squad is going to continue pushing through, and it's going to make it tough for the Panzerschreck to find an ambushing position. Panzerschreck, however, does find the 50 cal, and that's very, very important. Can the M5A1 clean up the Panzerschreck? It does. That's even more important, because now without that Panzerschreck in position, the M5A1 should be clear to take out the 250-10s. The only issue here is that the 250-10s come at the M5A1 in like a 2v1 attack. With that track wheel damage though, that 250-10 is a little bit immobile. But you can see Włochaty relying on these quite heavily. It's just a shame for him that he doesn't have the command available right now to make these any better. He has, of course, lost his command infantry in the centre due to this attack. Not too much he could have done about that. But there goes the M5A1 killing the 250-10. Oh, that was unlucky though. Well, I wouldn't say unlucky. Careless is probably more the word. Gonzo losing an infantry squad in that half-track unnecessarily. M5A1 trying to have a go at the 250-10 in reply. Another M5A1 pushing on this top side looking for a 250-10 here. Panzerschreck though in a decent position to hit the M5A1 if it decides to come up. This M5A1's gone down. The Panzerschreck got into range, finds the kill, and the 250-10 kills the M5A1 at close range, saw it coming, and also going to take out the M5 half-track. Very nice indeed. That 2-star veterancy really paying off there. Now the 250-10 did go down on this bottom side, but with the Panzerschreck cleaning up the M5A1s, it is going to blunt Gonzo's push for the time being, and with the Sturmpioneers getting close and personal with the Nueve, they're going to want to do a runner, otherwise they will get their faces burnt off. On the top side, the Panzer have made a push up here. The Pak 40 was pushing forwards as well, but seems it's fallen back. The half-track's trying to make something of this top side. 81mm mortar though. Gonna try and prevent the infantry from breaking through, and once the infantry is dead, the AT gun can move forwards again to try and take on the half-tracks. Meanwhile here, voltages have moved up. They missed one of their bazookas. They actually missed a second. These CDP voltages are actually really terrible sometimes with their bazooka. The accuracy is just really low. It's like 7 accuracy. When you think like the Panzer has 10 base accuracy, bazookas are pretty crap. Either way, speed through. They're going to get taken out by the M5A1. It's going to reload those and continue. Bazooka finally gets the job done. Sturm Pioneers are melting the Nueve. But this Nueve squad is going to clean up the Sturm Pioneers. So trading relatively well, Gonzo, although losing a lot of men in the process. These Nueve, it looks like they're going to take control of these buildings in the M5A1. Meanwhile, on the top side, bazookas coming through. If it can just pin these guys, then the 6-pounder can finish the job. That's not going to be the case. Pak 40 manages to hit the 6-pounder, and that's going to save the day for the time being. Can the bazooka find another kill? It cannot. The 3-star MG going to get the job done. Nicely done indeed. M5A1 with the 50 cal going to be engaging the 251. That infantry doesn't really want to unload in this position, especially with the Nueve in the building, so Włochaty's kind of waiting for the 233 here to get an engagement going. I'm surprised that the 233 has been purchased actually. It's not often you actually see these anymore, mainly because they're very expensive what they offer. Like if you look at the 233's optics, they used to have very high optics. Now they have only high optics and they cost 80 points. So for the 6 HE and the 3 front armor, it's not spectacular, and generally not like a suboptimal kind of unit to bring in on your division. But Włochaty favouring them here. Does have the nice 9 HE to pin infantry very quickly, so maybe relying on that to take back this compound. 81mm mortars still trying to put some pressure onto the Pak 40 here. 6-pounder's actually found line of sight onto one of the half-tracks, is going to take that out. Meanwhile, Włochaty's falling back with his infantry on the top side, with the M5 half-track no longer being contested, with the Pak 40 being pinned down. It's a +2 for Gonzo. He's finding himself quite a lot of ground here. Does need to be careful that he doesn't overextend, because when we go into phase B, Włochaty is going to be coming at him with a solid 150 points per minute, which is actually really hard to fight off if you're not prepared. So he can't overextend and leave himself vulnerable. Voltages, they're going to be trying to get some grenades on target here. Do manage to do so, get one in the top of that half track, and job well done. Nueve squad did surrender in the process though, which is unfortunate. That was mainly due to the help of the 233 though, and that 9 HE I was talking about. 250-10, going to be engaging the M5A1. M5A1 actually manages to kill the half track. Does get killed by the 250-10 though. That's what I'm talking about. The fast reload comes in, finds the kill onto the Stuart here. Poor Stuart just didn't see it coming. Incredible stuff. CDP voltages, they're going to be hit pretty hard as well by the 250-10. You do actually have to be careful letting a 250-10 attack your infantry squads, because there are sort of moments when a 250-10 can just do 1 damage after another onto the squads, and after 10 HE rounds that's your squad dead. A 4A command infantry, that's even less. So the voltages now engaging the Panzergrens at close range. That's a decent enough engagement. M5A1 half track here trying to help out cover this top side. Włochaty's going to be moving in with his MG42 though. And this 233, only a matter of time surely until it cleans up the M5A1. Job well done there. Now with the MG going to be pinning down the vultures, it's going to be a surrender. And Włochaty's making back ground. So we're into that phase B, 150 points per minute. This is where the Sturmgrenadiers are really going to start coming into play. And those Sturmgrenadiers will be able to rip through the unvetted French infantry. If Gonzo has already used up the majority of his Nueve, which I think he will have done by this point. He's got a fresh squad here, but that's likely the last. Then he's going to have to start relying on things like sappers and getting the HE grenades on target at close range. But due to Włochaty's infantry micro being very, very good, I don't think Gonzo's going to get away with using sappers to kill Sturmgrenadiers. I just don't think that Włochaty's going to really let it happen for the most part. Bazooka there, not going to get a shot on target of the SPW-233. Panzergrenz and Panzergrenführer found that before it mattered. M5A1 now coming up, gets the internal fragments onto the 251 half-track. Going to be cleaning that up quite nicely. We'll want to kill off the 250-10 as well, unless the 6-pounder beats it to it. And the 6-pounder actually hit the mark. It will. 6-pounder finds the kill. M5A1 missed that shot. Pack 40 being approached on this top side. Włochaty's going to want to let that fire at the spy, otherwise it could find itself dead very quickly. Half-track, however, might be the one to do the job here, if the Pack 40 can continue to do a runner. It's very light defences for Włochaty, and I guess potentially Gonzo could have pushed a little more, but without the M5A1s that he had in Phase A, it would have been very, very difficult to continue the push that he had going. He's now reinforced himself once again, and the Stuart at close range can do quite a lot of damage. So that's what he's relying on here, especially considering Włochaty's going to be starting to pile in with his infantry. 233 is going to be engaging the voltages. Another voltages squad going to be getting nice and close though. Sappers unloading. Can they get bazooka on target? They can. Nicely done there. Uses the fact that the 223 was, or 233 was distracted in order to get the Sapper's bazooka close enough. Panzergrenführer likely to go down. If they do, that's a nice amount of ground gained for Gonzo, and he's sitting on the +2. Really, really good position for him right now, continuing his dominance into Phase B so far. Sturmgrenadiers have been unloaded in the face of the M5A1. Panzer Faust does the job. Panzerschreck otherwise would have, no doubt. And those Sturmgrenadiers can be reloaded into the half-track and carry on. So the half-track's now getting involved with the Nueve. Sturmgrenadiers slowly but surely working their way through the tree lines. Gonna be really, really difficult for Gonzo to clean up Sturmgrenadiers unless Włochaty messes up his infantry micro. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think that was a Panzerschreck did go down here to the voltages in the open. But now on the bottom side, Włochaty's going to be bringing in the BEO Panzer II. That's going to provide some off-map onto the 57mm AT gun and the command next to it. Might be able to find the kill onto that AT gun, that would be nice. Even if he doesn't, the pin onto these units might allow the Sturmgrenadiers to just run them down and finish them off regardless. So 5 minutes into Phase B, and Włochaty's starting to overwhelm Gonzo's infantry. The Sappers, they get the bazooka shot onto the Puma. Sapper's going to be releasing that grenade. Will Włochaty let his Sturmgrenadiers go down? I don't think the Sappers actually threw it. Yeah, there was no explosion. They must have been surrendered just before they used their satchel. The Sturmgrenadier staying alive, defeating that Sapper's unit. The Sturmgrenadier trying to make some ground. Going straight into the line of sight of the M5 half-track though. Do manage to smoke themselves off as they retreat. Meanwhile on the bottom side, 251 is actually making some nice ground here. The Panzer II could actually push very aggressively on this bottom side, and well, look at these Sturmgrenadiers. They're now coming into the orchard here. This could be very risky for the M5A1 if he's not too careful. Was that a bazooka went down on the side of Gonzo? I think it was. I don't think there was any reason for the Panzerschreck to be that far up for Włochaty. I think that was a bazooka on the side of Gonzo. But here we have the 251 trying to take on the Sappers and the M5 half-track. Sappers landing that bazooka shot. Sturmgrenadiers try to get the better of the M5A1. Not really going to be able to. They need to smoke themselves off if they want to advance. The 6-pounder almost got the better of the Panzer II, which would have been quite ugly for Włochaty, because this is like a 110-point Panzer II. And in order to get value for money out of this Panzer II, all of the off-map strikes really need to come down. Sturmgrenadiers, though, they do get pinned, and they are forced back for the time being. Voltages might actually end up surrendering them as they continue to fall back. Meanwhile, on the top side, Panzergrenz being cleaned out by the Sappers. Gonzo's infantry is actually doing relatively well. Puma, though, that's come around the corner, going to be engaging the M5 half-track at close range. The M4A3 is actually in trouble here, because the Puma, with the 2-star veterancy, can do a lot of damage. Gonzo's going to have to keep microing that best of his ability in order to avoid the Puma actually finding the kill, whilst these sappers try and come up and hit that with the bazooka. Ooh, the Puma here manages to catch out the M5A1. So that's taken the pressure of the Sturmgrenadiers, didn't stop them from losing quite a few men. These Sturmgrenadiers now engaging the sappers here, Sturmgrenadiers engaging sappers on the top side as well. Puma didn't find the kill onto the M4A3, but has wiped out the sappers that chased them down across the open. Now we've got Ramsch on the field with the Flampanzer, and this could get ugly. If the sappers miss the bazooka onto the Flampanzer, they are dead. It's as simple as that, and that will open a huge salient on the top side of the map. Ooh, the Panzerschreck there gets the trap wheel damage onto the M4A2 that's now come in. The 2-star Shermans, really the major power point of the French, and we have one on the field, but it's already panicked, so this Puma might be able to take advantage of that. Maybe not. 2-star M4A2 gets the job done. Super fast aim time, going to be trying to demolish these Sturmgrenadiers as well. Unfortunately, due to the track wheel damage, the Sturmgrenadiers might get into range for the Panzerfaust regardless of this trying to reverse away. But on the bottom side, without the M5A1 in the way, the Puma and the Panzer II are now pushing through and putting a lot of pressure onto the voltages and the CDP voltages here. But the bazooka lands, and the Puma got way too close. That was a big mistake, actually, from Volhati. So, Panzer IV coming in to help out. Poor old sappers there in the edge of that building. It looks like they missed their bazooka, like I mentioned, and they are now dead. Flampanzer gets away with that one. Puma going to be looking for the shot onto the sappers. But here comes Ramsch, going to be trying to clean up the M4A3. And somehow Gonzo's continuing to keep that out of line of sight. So 1 minute until phase C. But you can see that Volhati, he almost has the momentum here. Especially when it comes to the infantry engagements. These sappers, they're running dry very quickly, and he's taken out like 3 squads of them on the top side, and he's taken out quite a few in the middle as well. So it's going quite well for him across the map in general. M4A2s though are very strong, and they might be able to clean up a lot of the armoured vehicles that Volhati is relying on. He's just going to have to make sure that the Sturmgrenadiers do not get into scary positions, because for example, on this top side, the Sturmgrenadier is really preventing the M4A2 and the M4A3 from making too much ground. So Gonzo's going to have to rely on some infantry recon potentially to spot Sturmgrenadiers in sort of places ahead of them. But the issue with that is the Sturmgrenadiers have the 200 meter range on the MP44s. So the recon infantry is likely to die before it actually spots the Sturmgrenadiers, or it will be in range when it does spot. Either way, in the mid, massive salient occurring as the half-track goes down. Sturmgrenadiers have made a lot of ground here, and the Panzer II alongside that half-track going to be driving straight on through. Sappers going to be coming up against the Sturmgrenadiers, will be trying to use their grenade, but Volhati just going to back up from that. Internal fragments onto the Puma here. Ramsch going to be trying to come around the corner as well and take a shot. Maybe not actually. The Puma going down and that second shot getting off means the Panzer IV is actually at a disadvantage peeping around the corner to take on the M4A2. The M4A2 will aim first. Flampanzer here going to be trying to surrender the M4A2, cover the Sturmgrenadiers as they come up. Pretty much just a distraction, and this distraction worked. The Sturmgrenadiers managed to get the Panzerfaust on target, and really, really well done. Now Gonzo's going to start relying on his M4A376s. He's got one on the bottom side, he's got one in the mid. The one in the mid won't be able to actually do too much. It will probably have to go across the open field here if it wants to go anywhere, because there's just not really any infantry to stop the Sturmgrenadiers or any Panzerschrecks that may be hanging about from killing the M4A3 otherwise. So 2 units of flamethrowers and a unit of voltigeurs now going to be heading towards the center of the map. M4A3 looking for a shot onto a half-track there. And these M4A3s, they can definitely control the bottom side of the battlefield for the time being, until Volhati decides to bring himself in a Panther. Now in Phase C, the 2nd Panzer does have access to, I think, Panther A's. So we may see those come in, and if they do, then the M4A3s are toast. But in the meantime, the M4A376s should defeat any Panzer IVs they come up against, in theory. But this is scary for Gonzo. The Sturm Grenadiers coming up really, really close here to the M4A3. This could be a dead M4A3, honestly. Sturm Grenadiers going to be melting the flamethrowers. That's one squad going down. That's the 2nd squad going down. Couldn't even get the smoke out. M4A3, that needs to retreat as soon as possible. He just lost 2 of his flamethrower squads there to one of the Sturm Grenadiers, and that is not cheap. Considering the Sturm Grenadiers, they're a 30-point squad. They come in a 20-point half-track. They just killed off 2 20-point infantry flamethrowers. Not good at all. But this Panzer IV, it's planning to go against the grain. Killing a M4A376 would be quite something for a Panzer IV. And it looks like it might just happen. M4A376 has been forced back. 2-star Panzer IV should still hit the mark from this range. Only a matter of time until that's a kill. And there we have it. M4A376 goes down. Gonzo is a bit unlucky there, but also shouldn't have really had the M4A3 in a position to be engaged within the 1,000 meter range against the Panzer IV. And he gets punished for it. This M4A376 is looking to get revenge. Does get the crew wound onto the Panzer IV, and this is more like it. The M4A376 acting as a sniper, just wrecking any infantry, or sorry, any armor that it comes up against. Takes out the Panzer IV. Puma's going to have a go at close range, but you'll see the M4A376 just snapshot. There we go. Would have got the shot off if the Puma hadn't reversed. But look at this. Sappers, they got the better of the Sturm Grenadiers that were here, and they also managed to use the bazooka to internal fragment the Panzer II. But there is an abundance of units here that could really damage this if they continue to press forwards. However, Gonzo has actually reinforced with the M8 Spies, which is an ideal choice for killing all of these light armoured vehicles, so that's good. But on this top side, well, the M4A370, the M4A3 105mm has gone down. The M4A2 is still alive and is going to be taken on ramp. Will it find the kill? Ammo storage hit is good enough for now, but the 250-10 coming in with a flanking shot. Can it get the job done? It's actually aiming elsewhere. Panzer IV actually replies with an ammo storage hit, and Ramsch wins. Ramsch gets the kill onto the M4A2. I feel like that was a little bit of Gonzo's fault. He kind of stopped the M4A2 from aiming briefly and allowed the Panzer IV to get off that second shot really easily without firing back, when the M4A2 may very well have got the kill. But he kind of reacted to the 250-10 being in this position, and that's just good play from Włochaty at the end of the day, having that 250-10 coming in on that flanking side. The M4A3 manages to destroy some Sturm Grenadiers here, but they managed to kill off one of the M8 Spies. This M8 Spy now going for the SBW there, but this M4A3 is going to start cleaning up these half-tracks. However, Włochaty is not letting go of the pedal. He is pushing it all the way to the floor, and we are seeing the Flampanzer just drive on through on this bottom side. Speertroop have just found the Sapeurs here, and the Pioneers will be advancing on those with the help of the half-track. Panzer IV moving back to the road to fast move to the centre of the map, as the M4A376 and M4A2 are primed to make a counter-attack. However, I do definitely feel like Gonzo's pretty much out of infantry at this point. It's going to be very hard for him to continue contesting against Sturm Grenadiers if he has no more Sapeurs. So that may be the case here. And we're into Phase C, and I'm not seeing any volunteers, so he might not even have them available. Sturm Grenadiers, are they going to get the Panzerfaust on target? They do! That's one man. And his Panzerfaust taking out a very expensive tank. That is not good at all. Going to be smoking off the Sturm Grenadiers as well. M4A2 does not want to suffer the same fate. We'll be taking the cut through of the forest with the Sturm Grenadier heading towards the M4A2. He's in trouble, and I really am not seeing Gonzo getting out of this if he doesn't have any infantry left, which I don't think he does, which is why the recon is now coming in to take up the frontline infantry sort of positions. at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to the fact that the 150 points per minute plus the abundance of Sturmgrenadiers just completely wipes out anything that the second Armoured really has to offer. And you see on the bottom side, the Flampanzers actually managed to get the better of the M4A2, forcing that to fall back. Really bad news for Gonzo here. That's going to be the Flampanzer surrendering the M4A2. On the top side, we are going to see the M8 Spy and M4A2 try and hold some ground here, take out that Flampanzer. Do manage to do so, but there's really just nothing to like push back the front line. This may connect again and cause Gonzo to lose less ground, but this is a +4 for Włochaty. And if he doesn't have any infantry to like hold the front line when his armor dies, it's just over, quite simply. Gonzo's in a very, very tough position. The second Panzer is banned for a reason, and I think it's shown, because although Gonzo was playing very well and made a lot of ground, the Phase B comeback from Włochaty was extremely strong towards the end of the phase. And we saw like the swarms of units coming through the center, and Gonzo just didn't have enough. Sturmgrenadiers here, the one-man Sturmgrenadier squads paying off. Another Panzerfaust hits the mark onto the M4A2, and you just can't let that happen. But quite simply, it comes down to, again, there not being the infantry to stop that from happening in the first place. So Gonzo's having to be very risky with his armor, and it's not paying off. M8 Spy going to be trying to take shots at the 258, no doubt. Panzer IV going to be coming in as well. Panzer IV cleans up the M8 Spy, but the 258 does go down. Not particularly consequential to the outcome of this match, but Gonzo, I think, just trying to make up some KD here with his remaining units. This Spy not going to be able to do too much. 250-10. Going to be pinning those down and surrendering the last man. M10 coming in now to help out. M4A2 is going to be engaged by the Jagdpanzer and the Panzer IV, and that's a bailout. That's it. Job done. Włochaty pretty much killed all of the armor Gonzo had to offer, all of the infantry he had to offer, and Włochaty takes a very convincing victory after 28 minutes and 49 seconds. And after what was a much more tense first game, it seems as though Włochaty came back very strong in Game 2, making this 1-1 with 2 Axis victories in this best of 3. Crazy stuff. So in the end, 3,155 kills to 2,395 losses for Włochaty. Gonzo, I think, just ran out of steam for the most part, whilst Włochaty still had plenty to work with. And that mainly comes down to divisional differences. So the French, like, he managed to use them very well and very aggressively early on, but just couldn't maintain the ground that he needed, because Phase B comes around so damn quickly. Like, it's only 10 minutes into the match, and you're going up against 150 points per minute. And at that point, I think Włochaty was also already making back ground in certain areas. And if that's the case, then the second Panzer becomes completely overwhelming and something that's very difficult to hold back. You didn't even need to see a Panther on the field in order to win this. That's quite something to point out. But yeah, early on, great job by Gonzo. Used the M5A1s well. It's unfortunate that he did lose both of them just when he was about to seal the deal. I think Włochaty relying on the 250-10s and Panzerschrecks worked out well in the end, but early on, he lost a lot of those half-tracks very easily. And that's what we can see here. A lot of points going down the drain. Later on, Gonzo couldn't quite keep it up. And with the abundance of units coming in from Włochaty, you can see the kills definitely slowing down quite a bit. And a lot of units trading just 1 for 1 or not at all. The M4A2 here, killing that Puma was quite nice. But when they're only killing Pumas and nothing else, it's not really paying themselves off again. It's less than ideal. This M4A3 did take out the Panzer IV. That was the one that sniped it from long range. The other M4A376, though, we can see only got the half-track kill. So that is a terrible loss for Gonzo. M8 Spy did do quite well towards the end. A couple of them did. Surprised I actually didn't see these M8 Spies earlier on, because I think they would have been very good to accompany those Stuarts that were really getting the breakthrough. Because that may have meant that the 250-10s wouldn't have done so much damage to the Stuarts, for example. Either way, in terms of losses, the 250-10s were definitely the saviours. This 250-10 killing off 2 M5A1s on its own, and then the Panzer that actually came out of this 250-10, I believe, killed another M5A1. So 3 Stuarts going down at the start, which completely blunted Gonzo's push, allowing włochaty to transition into Phase B and therefore have the income that he needed to seal the deal. This Pack 40 on the top side, killing off 2 6-pounders, was very strong. And the Sturmgrenadiers, when they arrived, just look how much damage they did. This one killing the Nueve and an M4A2. That's a lot of points for a 30-point squad. Puma killing off a couple units of sappers and cleaning up some half-tracks there. Ramch killing off the M4A2 was pretty important. That was a kind of knife-edge engagement where the M4A2 ideally should have won on paper, but the Panzer IV managed to get the better of it. A 2-3-1 SPW did okay. But yeah. In general, I think Gonzo did well early on, just not well enough. He lost the M5A1s, and after that, it was pretty much game over. When you hit that Phase B, and you're not ahead of the 2nd Panzer, you're dead. That's pretty much it. That's all I have for this game. Back to 1-1 between these two, moving into the 3rd game. So the 3rd game will decide it all. Who will move on to the final to face off against Walther? You have to wait till then. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll join you in the next game. Goodbye.